Azure. We have a small program. First, we go dive into the value of Azure in itself. Then we dive into how do you build customer value, and then we have a small conclusion. But first, let me introduce the two guys who are going to present. Myself, I am CEO of Force21, and I'm active in the service provider space for many, many years now. And Job, if you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Thijs. Welcome, everyone. CEO at Azure, but also CEO at Intercept. And I will introduce that a bit more, of course, later on. But we're active in the Azure and ISV space, and now with Azure also in the MSP space, helping to automate and add customer value.
Thank you very much. Again, if you have questions, just put them in the comment field. Listen, engage, and enjoy the ride. First, something about Force21. What are we? We are active in the space of marketing, sales, and portfolio for service providers. That's really our only focus area. We do go-to-market strategy, setup, execution, and we help, let's say, help customers, IT service providers jump to the next curve, make the next step in their new turnover, whether it's via a portfolio innovation or rationalization, whether it's bringing new business with new markets or increasing sales, new business sales. That's what we do. We come from the cloud market. We are very personal. We like to do a fun business, and of course we're result driven. That's all I'm going to say about Force21. But here I'm going to share a little bit of how we look at all the services and the features and the technology that's around in the market. So Azure, it's all about Azure. Azure in itself, it's not really a USP. Of course, it's not. You know the value of Azure. It's fast. There's enough. It's high available. It helps you grow, and there's flexibility in it. That's I would say the ABC of Azure. Of course, it's there. What we actually see is that a lot of providers share this. This is what Azure is. This is what can bring you, and that's all fine and well. But let's dive into this picture. What has Azure to do with Ajax? You would say, in essence, nothing. Really nothing. Hehowever, just this morning, I read an interesting story on how they manage, how Ten Hag manages the fitness of their team. Because healthy players are players that can really bring top-notch results. How do they do that? It's a team, so you can say this is just cloud. There's a team that does something, but it doesn't work like that. He has individual programs, so every player has an individual, let's say, workload program. And here comes another value of Azure. You can dimension Azure or cloud, for that matter, into individual workloads. That workloads need more intensive ones. That doesn't need intensive ones. That needs it now, really now, for instance, in a game. So you can really dimension Azure to the performance you want from an individual workload. So, hey, how does Azure and Ajax match? Well, more than you think. This is also how we think. This is also how we act on, right. Azure is not really a USP. It has technology and feature kind of solutions. It's fine. And what do we see in the market? How lots of your colleagues market this, having lots of knowledge. We have the best Azure people in the market. We know how it works. Come with us. All right, that's an idea. Another one is we have the best services. We can manage your Azure environment. We can keep it uptime. We can keep it clear, and have managed it for you 24/7. That's an idea. Or do we see that a lot? Yes, Azure is maybe costly, but we manage the cost for you very active. There's also some tools that can help you with that. So we bring financial clarity in having your Azure. That's I would say good, but we see it a lot. So is there a USP? Nah. What are USPs? How unique are you? You can look into whether you're unique in a region, whether you're unique in the technology or services. It's really about your uniqueness, what you do, what you bring, and what you actually are within your DNA. What kind of company are you? Because your customers don't look at what you bring, but also what you are. So I would say step one in understanding the value of Azure is understanding the value of your DNA, understanding your company. I would say that's the first step. And then what? Then it's obviously about the value of your customers. You must understand the value of your business customers, the business of your customers. If you don't know that, if you're not clear what he's doing, how can you bring value? Again, it's not about the knowledge you have, the services you bring, or the financial benefits you bring. It's about how you can support their business. So look into that. Let's dive into the business of your customers in the market in general. They deal with market forces. Things happen. A pandemic, a Brexit. We had Brexit. Where's Brexit left? Things happen in the market for them. Their needs, the needs of their customers change rapidly. It's instant. It's now. It's really experience driven. So your customers need to act upon that. And obviously, and I see a lot of service providers not acting upon this. There's a big technology disruption coming up. AI, virtual reality, blockchain, things will really shake up the market. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, not maybe next year, but the coming years for sure. And it will change the whole way of working of your customers. And obviously, they have to act with competitors who are sometimes faster, smarter, and more agile. So what is the future business, what are the future business aspects of your customers? They need to be agile. Things will happen. So they need to be changing their customer, their organization towards their customer changes. They have speed. They should be adaptive. They should have customer focus. These are just some, I would say, core values that your customers would need. So how do you change that? How do you go work on that? First, look at their business. Again, we've just looked at some things that happen in the market and that are interesting for you. Then you would look at, okay, and how is digital innovation or their digital agenda, how does that interact with their business? What is their digital agenda? What are they doing digitally? And that's not, I'm putting paper into data. That's really not digital. That's something else. It's about their digital agenda, the digital innovation, working on, let's say, for instance, supply chain integration. And from that, how does technology support the digital agenda and their business? And lastly, where are you in that? How do you act upon their business, their digital agenda, the technology that they want, and what is your value in this chain? This is how we always look at our customers' value. So now you've looked at your own company. What is your DNA? What does that bring value? You've looked at your business, of your customers. Where are they at? What are they doing? So how do you bring value from your solutions to your customers? We have several models that we look at. One of them is the value creation quadrant. And it is all about how do you position and how do you market and how do you sell your services. Most IT companies, specifically, let's say, in the equipment and in the projects, is price. You see that in other markets as well. Retail, big price. It's all about price. Where's the USP? Do you distinguish yourself? Nah. Then features like, hey, if you well, again, retail. If you buy your groceries, we can bring them to you. That's ease. That's fine. That's service. That's also really good. But we always say that's, I would say, beneath the clay layer. That's the red ocean. A lot of companies do that. Price, service together in a package deal. A lot of companies do that. Where the real value is what are the business gains? Again, the business gains from your customers that we just looked at. And where you really should be at, where you really bring value, is talk with him and work with him on their strategy. What is their upcoming strategy for the coming 5 to 10 years? How do you fit in that? How can you, again, business, digital, technology, and you, how do you fit in that paradigm, his strategy? If you go further, we have another model. This is just models that we use, we didn't invent them, we used them. If you look at the Portner's differentiation strategy, because you have to differ yourself. Well, cost, we've just looked at it. Is that a differentiation? Yes, it could be. However, low margin, it's cheaper. What do you really earn? Where's the value for your customers? That's easy. Where's the value for you? You have to do it again and again and again, and you have to sell a lot to make this worthwhile. There's differentiation. Be a specialist. That's interesting. Interesting could be that you have a distinguished character in a product, but you have to focus on a product. And you can be really good at it. Specialists can really earn a lot of money, but you have to be a specialist. What we really like is focus. Target on a specific either customer group or industry or region, and here you bring value because you talk about them with them under business and a strategy. So it's really not about what it costs, of course somewhere, but it's about what you bring, what the value is. What we actually see in IT is that a lot of IT companies don't choose. They're stuck in the middle. They do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There's no distinctive character. If you look at, for instance, all the MSPs in Holland, you could easily say you can copy paste all the websites and it's more or less the same. I exaggerate a little bit, but most IT companies are really stuck in the middle. So, and if you look again at Azure, I mentioned it already. Speed, there's enough when they're scaling. A lot of companies, again, on their website are focused on CPU, GA scaling. It's fast. There's a lot of features and technology. However, you could also look at what's the activity, specific situations. Azure for web portals. How do you support mergers? How do you support cost cutting? How do you do expansion internationally? Or do it, as I mentioned already, a specific industry, a specific size. Focus on something that appeals to your customers, saying, hey, this is what I recognize. This is where I'm at. You understand my pain. I want to talk to you. Or, for instance, work on a specific ISV kind of attention point. I know there's a lot of attention from MSPs going into ISV software vendors, but specify it. What is the benefits from you for an ERP supplier or a track and trace supplier? What do you act upon? So be creative. It's not about Azure. It's about how do you position it? Position it around, for instance, logistics. And it's not just logistics. It's the whole chain on logistics. How do you support that with your solution built in Azure? How do you support go-to-market clouds by Azure? It's not about Azure. It's also maybe having specialists helping companies, your customers, thrive with web portals, thrive with online marketing or online activities, but help them more than just saying, hey, here's Azure, here's the features, here's fast, and there you go. How do you market? So again, looked at your company, looked at your customers, looked at your portfolio, you have built a solution, and now we're going into the market. So how do you do that? It's not about being a misunderstood genius. I think a lot of IT companies, by the way, are geniuses. Just yesterday, I learned a really nice one, having a Rembrandt on the attic. It's really about a lot of IT companies. They have that. They have a very nice Rembrandt picture in the attic, and they just don't know that it's 20 million, worth 20 million, because nobody shares it. You don't share it. You should start by being relevant for your target group. Share vision about what they're doing, about what their world does look like. But you can share about things that they like. Hey, that's nice. I like to have that. Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Even better is to share information on what they need. And it could be the need that they already know or they're not aware of. Even better is share information on their pain. What are their pain points? Where can you help them? And best of all, share information on what they fear. One of the things that I always like to say is, hey, if you don't do this, well, you're way behind. Then your competitors are faster. Or the next coming 5 to 10 years, a competitor you don't know of yet is market leader. So you better act now. And how do you do that? How do you act upon that? How do you share such a story? I am from a, let's say, age that I learned the 5 or the 4 Ps: product, promotion, price, place. That was it. That was a marketing mix that we had, and everybody understood it. Everybody was fine. But how do you do that if you have a cloud? What is place actually? And how do you promote it? And you have a product or a solution? Well, that's it. There's a new marketing mix. SIVA. So you have solutions. You want to share information. You want to share value, add value, sell value, and be open on where they access it. That's the new marketing mix. It's not about the 4 Ps. It's about SIVA. I have some examples how you can do that. For your solution, you could say, I have a carefree, I'm carefree, no worries, we can help you. And if you share information, by the way, be aware that you are consistent. The information should be all about the value for your customer, what's happening there, bring them in, and be aware of the confirmation bias of your customers. If you share many different stories, they're lost. They're lost in space. Here, I'm lost. I really wouldn't know what I'm eating here. And value is really not about price. It's about what they're going to bring, what they're going to have for the coming year or years to come. This is, by the way, a very interesting marketing trick. So it's not a mistake. It's really a marketing trick. And be also very open. How do you access it? Access to your solutions should be easy, and should be easy on, easy out. Why? Because that gives the customer the benefit of, hey, okay, I can use it, and if I'm not happy, I can go. But if I'm really happy, I want to stick with you, and want to be with you, and I want to work with you. Be aware of the Stockholm Syndrome in that case. Good. All good and well, and it's all, I would say, open doors. So how do you do that? How are we going to do this? I'm going to give you an example of one of my customers. This is an MSP, Dutch-based, by the way, part of a big international organization, having local focus. So they are international, but they act local. So the group in itself is around 200 FTEs, meaning that they have a 24/7 support as well, having a very broad IT cloud portfolio. And they came to us saying, we want to do something else. We want to enter a new market. Help us with this new market to define that. And we looked at their DNA. So what is the DNA? This is what we brought. This is your DNA. What is the value of your DNA? Well, look at another different kind of profile, another customer profile. So if you're international, why not support international business? And if you have a broad portfolio from network to cloud, why not deliver also networks to the multi-site internationally? Because that's a burden, having to support locations throughout Asia, South America, Africa. That is a burden. And if you want to do that, you have to have a logistic process. Why? Because it needs to run. If there is an hour failure, that costs a lot of money. So support that. And don't go to the really high, big companies. I would say don't go to Shell, don't go to Unilever. Why? Why? Because you're too small. You're large enough, 2,000 FTEs for certain companies, but not for the Shells. But for the companies in this sweet spot, you're okay. And obviously a Dutch headquarters. This is the customer profile that we derived. And from that, we said, okay, if we want to go there, what is actually happening there? Again, what is the business of your customers? What is happening there? So we first looked at the business streams. What is working? What is happening in that marketplace? If you have a logistic company, whether it's an industry or a warehouse or installation throughout international, throughout all the countries, what is happening there? And from that, what is happening operationally? What is in their processes? What is working on that? What are the themes working on that? And then the next step is to digitization. What kind of developments are there in digitization? And again, the fourth step, and what is IT doing? What is IT in that whole flow of business operations and digitization? How is the value of IT coming to that? And then we worked on, all right, this is it, and this is what you bring, an adaptive international digital foundation. We built that further. Okay, this is the position, this is what your target group is working on, operational, tactical, strategic. How can you support it? How can you interact on it? How can you go to market for that? It's easy, support that on the foundation. So workloads, again, looking at Ajax, should work differently. So one workload should be high available, exaggerated, let's say have an hour failure per outage per year max. Otherwise, we lose millions. How do you do that? And having a tactical base, build a base in which they can be flexible. Buy another company, for instance, in Ecuador, put it on your cloud, and there you go. It's a bit easy, but still. And if you go into strategic developments, bringing new technology in that, you should have an adaptive foundation.